This segment is all about selling your business in today's economy. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is Andy Montgomery. He's a business intermediary with Murphy Business Sales. Andy, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Andy, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically let us know who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping.
Probably the typical profile that we see most successfully is, a business owner, maybe a husband and wife team in their mid-50s to early 60s that are looking to retire. That really is kind of a picture-perfect type scenario.
Most of these business owners are great at starting their business, growing their business, and running it. But when it comes time to selling a business, do they really even consider it or know where to start? What do you hear out there?
Oftentimes, they don't really know where to get started. There is a understanding that they need to assess value, to figure out what they're going to get out of the transaction. They want to know the value. But I'm often surprised that for the most part, they really don't understand how businesses are valued.
Gotcha. So what are some of the, besides like valuation of the business, are there any other big myths or misconceptions that you hear over and over again from business owners looking to sell?
Oh, I really don't know of a myth from the sellers themselves, but there's kind of a myth as I see it in the industry, since my wife and I have been working in this for over 10 years. And since we entered the industry, we've always heard about this age wave of baby boomers, where a lot of small businesses are going to be coming to market. So far, we just haven't seen that. And my impression or my theory on that is that baby boomers just aren't very good at letting go. And many of them will just ride it out to the end.
Right on. When people are considering selling their business, what's the right time frame for them to get started? Do they even have a concept of or is it sort of like a behind the eight ball sort of a thing? When's the right time to start preparing to sell a business?
I would say if you're really going to do it, 3 to 5 years to really dial in those financials, because one of the big challenges that we see are just inconsistent or poor financials going into it. And we understand, nobody likes to pay taxes. Unfortunately, for many small business owners, they've been managing the business to pay low taxes and not necessarily maximize profit. So that's why I say 3 to 5 years, is because you need, 3 years at least and a current year of good, solid, profitable looking financials.
I understand that there's a pretty high statistic. It's like 80% of businesses or more that go on the market end up being unsold, and either they're trying to sell it on their own or whatever the case may be. What are some of the big glaring mistakes and pitfalls that you see people make that sabotage their businesses from selling?
It's the quality of financials again. That's the biggest part. Overpricing the business. Also, owner dependence and customer concentration. Both of those are very big deals. And typically, you can overcome one or the other in your deal structure in some way. But if you've got both, where there are major customers, maybe a handful, maybe one or two, maybe even one, that are 80% of the business, and that relationship is owned by the business owner, very difficult to transfer. That's a big challenge. It can be done in some situations, but when you've got the combination of owner dependence and customer concentration, both very, very challenging.
From the buyer's perspective, is that easy to spot? Like, how do they really identify that, whoa, this guy is too much part of the business, and if we lose him, we lose all the business? Like, is that easy to spot? How do buyers really look at that?
Well, I'm going to address that in the confidential memorandum that is shared. I mean, I really don't want to get into a situation where somebody's put an offer in, the offer's been accepted, and then you're doing a due diligence and, oh, surprise, we don't want that. So if there are issues like that with the business, I'll get that out front in the confidential memorandum so that they're aware of it up front, and suggest some ways that we could mitigate those challenges.
Andy, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners with selling their business and transitioning out? How did you get started in the field?
Well, it's something that I had looked at, fairly young in my career. I guess in the early 90s, I considered it. It was a different industry at that time, but I really needed to get income at that time, being a young man, and I was intrigued by it, but didn't pursue it. And then I had a long corporate career, I became interested in it because in a corporate job, you kind of lose touch with how you're really affecting people. And I kind of wanted to do something that would change people's lives, and you would have a direct impact.
Right on. Andy, before I ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you regarding selling a business in today's economy that you feel is important to share with business owners?
I really think you did cover the main thing I see, is understanding the value of the business and then also planning ahead. People really do need to do that. Unfortunately, many of the people that come to us are kind of distressed, or there's something, a life situation that is driving the decision, rather than really planning and executing and leaving at the highest valuation.
Sage advice, Andy, for business owners that are listening, resonating with your message, and would like your help, perhaps getting a valuation for their business. How can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
My phone number is 972-672-0842, and email address a.montgomery@murphybusiness.com.
Andy, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Very good. Thank you so much for having me.
That was Andy Montgomery, business intermediary with Murphy Business Sales. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses and practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.